Thank you. My name is Matthew Adams. I'm the Vice President of the San Diego Building Industry Association. We certainly appreciate this unique opportunity to bring the industry's recommendations on regulatory reform to the City Council for your consideration. We want to also thank Mayor Sanders for his long-time leadership on the issue of maximizing the efficiency of the regulatory process. And I also want to mention Kelly Broughton, your senior staffer, who is a tremendous asset to this city and one who has earned the respect and admiration of our association. He really does a lot of hard work, and we want to build on the efforts that he and his staff have been doing in the area of regulatory relief. We also want to thank you, Council President Young, and Lori Zaff, and members of the City Council, for essentially asking the question that the private sector has been asking for a long time all across the country. Is there a better way to do things? Is there a better way to be more efficient, more cost-effective, and still provide the services that the citizens require? We hope that other cities will follow in your footsteps in asking this question. We're joined today by several members of the industry leadership. We have representatives from City Mark Development, the Corky McMillan Companies, Cornerstone Communities, Oliver McMillan, SMG Business Strategies, RBF Consulting, Chelsea Investment Company, and Sudbury Properties, to name a few. I'm sure I missed a few, so I'll apologize in advance if I did. With that, we appreciate this effort to address you today, and I want to turn it over to the Chairman of the Board of the Building Industry Association, Mr. Russ Haley.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you, Mr. Council President and Council members. All right, why don't we get right into this? Where are the slides? Okay, the San Diego BIA, who we are. We were founded in 1938. We're a nonprofit trade association, and we're the largest association of this type in California. We represent over 700 member companies, which in the heyday that we're more than double that. So we've definitely taken our hits through this recession. And I'll say that the 700 members that we are not big public companies that come in from Wall Street. These are 700 companies that basically most of us are all reside in San Diego, and we really are small companies that are trying to do great things for the city. We in this organization have lost over 40,000 jobs, construction jobs, since this recession, and right now, for this year, it looks like we're going to be able to pull about 4,000 building permits, but that is far from where we used to be. Typically, we do 12 to 15,000 building permits a year, and SANDAG says that at a minimum, we should be doing at least 10,500 building permits per year just to be stabilized for San Diego County. I'll say that the city of San Diego, right now, we're about 2,200 building permits for the year. This city obviously represents the lion's share of what goes on in this county. So the decisions that you all make are very important to this region, not just the city itself. All right, so getting into the meat of our recommendations. The first is working with bond exonerations. Basically, all we're asking is for this city to comply with state law. The state allows, when we come in to get our release, the first tranche of our release, that we get 80% release. The city of San Diego is at 75%. So we're asking the city to comply with state law for that. Establish urban parking standards and restore by right tandem parking. When we lost that tandem parking back in 2004, that was really crippling for us in certain districts throughout San Diego. I'll tell you right now that we're trying to get entitled a 4-unit project in Mission Hills. It's 4 units, and yet we are required to build 11 parking spots for that one site, which in our mind is crazy. We've been looking for park equivalencies for urban development. That's important as this town builds up. It's not always about the square footage of land, but it's about what we do with the parks that we already have and how we can make our spaces, how we can focus on the quality instead of just the quantity. We're asking for us to revise the severe fire hazard maps to reflect actual breast transitions. In a lot of your districts, District 3, for example, there's a large chunk of that actually is in this new severe fire hazard zone map that was established about 2 years ago. And that costs I'll use an example again. Same project in Mission Hills. It's very much an urban setting, and yet we are inside that zone. This costs us about $6,000 per unit because we're in that zone. We have to temper all of the windows, and we have other requirements associated with that. This would be an easy thing to change. Revised city-imposed CEQA significant threshold standards. Can't change CEQA, but what we can do is we can change the thresholds that the city sets up for that, and we can look at making sure that they're valid for for 2011, 2012 standards. Process reform, permit third-party review of project applications. A lot of cities outside San Diego use companies, for example, like Eskil, that have very quick turnarounds for their plans. Here's another one. Treat apartments and condominiums equally for single lot developments. If we have a single lot development, we want to build apartments, we can go in and with the process one, we can go ahead and get those that project processed just through that for a building permit. Problem is, when it changes to a condominium, we need a tentative map waiver. And a tentative map waiver is a process 3. So if we're going to process those two items together, that automatically moves us to a process 3 for any of our building permits. There's another way to do it, and basically we get our building permit first, pull our permits, and then start from scratch and get a tentative map waiver. That costs that's typically another 3 to 5 months worth of a process associated with that. It makes no sense, because at the end of the day, the product is the same. The only difference is whether it's an apartment or whether it's a condo. And so we should decouple these and not force those items to be risen to a higher level. Establish dispute resolution process. I love the idea that there's now an ombudsman for small business, and we could definitely use the same in the development arena. And create a Little Hoover Commission to evaluate process structure. Next slide, please. Fees. Expand fee deferrals to include sewer and water fees. Eliminate automatic fee increases in FBAs. And more accountability for deposit accounts. We put in our money for our deposit accounts, and we never know when that money is being spent or how it's being spent. We do not get monthly statements on those. Revamp project reimbursement agreement process. We'd love to roll up our sleeves and get a committee together to rework that. That's gotten very bureaucratic over time. Next slide. And just in general, practice regulatory restraint right now. We need as much help as we can get, and the state continues to set up new threshold standards all the time, and we're hoping that at a minimum we can stick with what the state is doing. Require potential legislation to include a cost impact benefit analysis on the private sector. And we're always looking for sunset city regulations, so we can continue to analyze regulations over time to make sure that they're doing what they were intended to do. And with that, that is our that's it for us. But we're here with any questions, and I think at this point we're going to turn it over to a quick video. Is that right, Matt?
Yes. First of all, you had mentioned prior to our presentation that Janelle Riella was ceding her time. She was not for us. She's speaking for the Downtown Partnership. Well, now we would like to present a video that we have produced. It's a short video that demonstrates the link and benefits of construction to economic activity, and more importantly,
is it a minute long?
What's that?
Is it a minute-long video?
It's only about 45 minutes. It's okay.
45 minutes?
It's going to be.
All right, let's see how you do.
I have more names if you need more people.
Okay, I got you.
All right, thank you very much.
Surrounded by things built by two-bit developers. I'm looking at them every day, and I am insulted by what has been built in this city. Just these, kind of fly-by-night, substandard kind of stuff. So these people that were wearing jobs things, it was ridiculous.